It says that we're going live, and it says we are indeed live. I'm doing a live stream, and I already have two people watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. I like doing these live streams once in a while. It's different than doing a video and editing it. I can just kind of share some thoughts, and I can't take some thoughts back. I've kind of committed to them if it's live stream because it's there. I guess you can edit live stream videos. I just don't. But I was thinking about what kind of music I like and why. And I think that's a really hard thing to articulate for anyone to describe why you're listening to what you're listening to, don't you? I mean, you like what you like, right? I mean, and you can't always put your finger on why you like it. It's difficult to do that. So before we get into any of this, I want to welcome everybody here. Thank you for joining the live stream. I see the Stockport Tux and Trains Amore is here. Hello to you. And hello to anyone who's tuning in. The live chat is on. I will glance over there once in a while. But I do have a few things I just want to get out there while I have this camera on. Again, this is about the music I like and why I like it. Again, very hard to articulate. I saw this interview on YouTube. I don't know, maybe a year ago. Maybe it was during the pandemic. I don't remember. But it was MCA from the BC Boys, and he was being interviewed by this, uh, I guess, these hosts from this XM hip hop channel. Ask him about his music and stuff. And then one of the questions that they asked was, "What hip hop are you listening to today?" And MCA said, "Well, I'm not listening to hip hop." And they acted really surprised. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you're a hip hop icon and you're not listening to hip hop. What's going on with that?" He says, "Look, I'm in my 50s now. Okay. This music isn't for me. So what I do is I go back and listen to all the music that I missed when I was so immersed into hip hop." And that totally makes sense because I think I do the same thing where there are times where there's music happening that I think is absolutely incredible. And I just can't get enough of it. I've always done this. I remember the last time that it happened where I was just so engulfed in it was probably the 2000s through maybe 2012. There was so much great new music coming out on the EDM scene. There was fantastic stuff coming out from the UK and Europe and Australia. Some of their chart stuff was just absolutely amazing. And we didn't really hear it here in the States, but I was getting it and I absolutely loved it. And a lot of it was mainstream stuff. Some of it wasn't mainstream stuff. There was interesting even hip hop going on. And you guys probably know that I'm not a big hip hop guy, but there was some interesting hip hop going on both sides of the pond and I really enjoyed it. But then there are times when there's not a lot out there that I'm turned on to that I'm enjoying. And when this happens, I tend to go back and listen to things that I really wasn't paying much attention to the first time around. For instance, there were a few years there for a while where I was just completely engulfed into 70s disco. I was learning as much as I could about it, and I was enjoying it, and I was discovering samples from tracks that I loved and discovering songs that I'd never heard before that were kind of, deeper cuts. And the reason I was listening to it was because I really wasn't into what was happening at the time. Now, recently I've been listening to the XM channel, Diplo's what was it? Is it Diplo's Revolution? Is that what it's called? On XM? It's like channel 52. I really like what I'm hearing on that channel. I didn't used to like what was going on that channel, but recently I've tuned in and there's some really cool stuff that I'm hearing and I'm really enjoying it. So when I'm driving around, that's what I'm listening to. And because there's something happening there that I really like, I'm not necessarily going back in time and checking out older tracks. But, as far as just music in general goes, I like what I like. I don't know. And there are certain things that I tend to gravitate towards. And it's funny because I say I like good music, and it's true. I do like good music. So with country, for instance, I don't listen to country, right? I don't enjoy it. It's music to me that promotes a simple lifestyle and common and down home, and that's not my thing lyrically. The music itself, it's almost like music that wasn't good enough for top 40, and then they put the fiddle in there and the twang and the slide guitar. It's not my thing. But, sometimes country music crosses over because it's really good. And when it crosses over, sometimes I really like it. It just depends on the track. If it's a really great track, I enjoy it. And when something crosses over on country, it's unique, right? It's different. It's not the same thing over and over again. I like things that are different. I don't like hearing the same thing over and over again. Let's talk about hip hop for a minute. There's a lot of hip hop out there that sounds just like every other hip hop song that you're hearing. And some people love it. They love the sound, so they can't get enough of it. And everybody kind of sounds like everybody else. It's difficult to tell who the artists are unless you're really into it. It all just kind of sounds the same. I don't enjoy that. What I do enjoy is when a hip hop artist does something that's unique. That's when I'm paying attention. And I'm kind of at a disadvantage, I guess. Well, it's actually an advantage, but we'll call it a disadvantage for conversational purposes because I came up in a time where the Sugar Hill Gang sounded nothing like Melly Mel, who sounded nothing like Dana Dane, who sounded nothing like Rob Bass, who sounded nothing like Run DMC, who sounded nothing like the Beastie Boys. They all had a unique sound, you know? Not only their styles, but their beats. It was all a little different. And I really enjoyed that. So when there's a whole genre of music out there where every song almost sounds like the last song, it's formulated and it's homogenous, and I don't enjoy that. I just don't. Some people really like it, and that's okay. I just don't because I've heard greatness, you know. And by the way, thanks for watching. For those of you just tuning in, thank you so much for watching. If you hit the like button, that would be super groovy. I'd really appreciate it. It helps the channel. I'd never hustle you guys for dough. I'm just not that guy. But I will hustle you for likes and comments if you wouldn't mind doing that. That would be just absolutely fantastic. So I really do appreciate those. When you bring those in, that helps me out, and then that's cool. Costs you nothing. Thank you. Thank you. If you do like the content and you don't mind hitting that like button, I really do appreciate it. I'm thinking about brand new music. The one that I'm thinking of that I've heard quite a bit is Beyonce Break My Soul. And there are a lot of folks out there who are saying, hey, man, this is really cool. Beyonce is doing this thing that sounds like house music, like old school house music. And Drake has a track too that I've heard. I didn't get excited about it, but I heard it. So Break My Soul, everyone's playing it. And here's the thing with that track. I think I'd like Break My Soul more if I hadn't heard it done better before. Whenever I hear that track, it almost sounds like a watered down version of Robin S. Show Me Love. It's a little slower, doesn't have as much energy. So it's almost like, okay, I've heard this before, but I've heard it done better. So why am I excited about this? That drives me nuts. I can't stand that. Um, on the other hand, sometimes tracks come out that are really good. They're throwback sounding songs, but I haven't heard them done like that, and I really enjoy them. The examples that I can give you, and some of you are gonna like look at me like, "What, really?" Yeah, I really like Pharrell's "Happy." I still like that song. It sounds like something Curtis Mayfield may have done, but it's really good. It's done really well. I like that track. The other one, Uptown Funk, Bruno Mars and Ronson. That track is done incredibly well. It sounds like Rick James. It sounds like The Time. I mean, it's "Give It to Me, Baby." Is what that song sounds like to me, and maybe a little bit of stuff off a Time album, but it's good. I like it. It's different. It's unique. It's got energy. I haven't heard anything quite like that before, or done like that before. Maybe I've heard things like that before, but I haven't heard them done like that before. But "Break My Soul," yeah, that's Robin S. "Show Me Love" slowed down and not as interesting to me. I'm not hating on Beyonce. I'm not hating on Drake. It's not that. It's just that I am at a disadvantage for our conversation today because I've heard it done better. And that's why I don't get as excited about it, if that makes sense to you. Now, my hope is people hear things like "Break My Soul" and say things like, "Hey, I like this sound. What else is out there like that?" And they discover Robin S. and they discover some of that really cool energy stuff that was coming out in the very early 90s before, Nirvana and all those folks hit. That's kind of the hope, and it expands their musical horizons. But, quite frankly, most people are just not that into it. Most consumers listen to what they are presented with. So whatever the radio happens to be playing, that's what they're listening to. They trust the radio, they trust the charts, they trust Spotify, they trust that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? They just feel like whatever it happens to be, it must be good because whoever programmed this, they've got to be the experts in this and they have to have picked the best of the best. And in a lot of cases, that is absolutely true. But most people aren't diving deeper. Most people aren't thinking to themselves, what else is like this? There are so many songs that have been sampled over and over again over the last 30 years, really, or more. You know, it's amazing to me when I watch like YouTube reaction videos. It's amazing to me when people hear things like, I don't know, Stevie Nicks' Edge of 17 for the first time and like, wait a minute, I thought this was Destiny's Child. They didn't even know. I mean, I knew when I heard it, okay, they've sampled Stevie Nicks. This is interesting. I kind of like this. I like what they've done with it. Although I feel like the lyrics are saying, I don't think you're ready for spaghetti, which I know that's not what's being said, but that's what I'm hearing in my head. I don't think you're ready for spaghetti. And I know she's saying this jelly. And I only know that because I read the lyrics because it sounds like spaghetti to me every time I hear it. But neither here nor there. It's amazing to me that no one thought to say, that's obviously a sample. Where's it from? Let's look it up. Let's hear the original. People generally don't do that. DJs do. People who are really into music do, but your average listener doesn't. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I like music that's interesting. It doesn't have to be complex, just interesting. Certain songs turn me on. Certain songs, like, hey, that's different. I've never heard anything like this before. That's what catches my attention. Just because it's different doesn't mean I like it. But when I do like something, that's typically what's going on, you know? And if I'm not hearing anything that's interesting to me, that's when I tend to go back. That's when I tend to dive deeper into genres like yacht rock and disco and whatever. I'll even look at some charts from other countries and maybe not contemporary charts. Maybe I'll look at older stuff and I'll find something that I missed the first time around because I was so incredibly immersed in, I don't know, EDM or something. You know what I mean? So that's what I listen to. And it's all over the place, and that's why my musical palette is so broad because I've been around for a long time. I mean, I came up in the 70s and the 80s, and of course, I was here in the 90s and the 2000s. There's been a lot of great music that's happened in those decades, and there is still great music happening now. The trick is to find it, and I do my best. I do get discouraged sometimes. I'll go through some of my promotional material that comes in, be it from, Topics USA or promo only, and I just can't find the track that's turning me on, and I'm just like, "You know what? Forget it. Forget it. I'll just wait for something to pop, and then I'll check it out." That happens way too often. It really does. But anyway, those are some thoughts on what I like, why I like it. What does this have to do with DJing? Hmm, some could argue nothing because I haven't really talked about anything that my audience is enjoying. But that wasn't the point of this video. I wanted to talk about what I like personally and what type of music is turning me on. I'm going to go to the comments here just to see. A couple people have made some cool comments. Um, well, Stockport Tucks and Trains and More. He does work festival as a lighting and sound engineer. Well, cool. This is a new thing for me. I did that sound thing and the lighting thing at well, I did it at Rockville and then I just did it at Mopop on a little scale. I'm not doing, main stages. I'm doing the tour booth for Swisher Sweet, so it's a little different. I'm just doing some training and some general tech. I did the build though, that I did. And then I just kind of showed them what was possible with lights. But I do enjoy that kind of work, and we may see more of that. It comes up when it comes up. The guy who owns the company who I'm coming in and doing contract work for, I went to high school with. So he knows me. He knows I've been a DJ since I was 13 because I was the guy at the skating rink when they go to the skating rink. And then he knows that I was, then doing weddings in high school and then doing clubs in, my late teens, early 20s or whatever. So he knew that I knew my stuff. So he brought me on, and I'm really appreciative of that. I enjoy the work. I don't know if I'd enjoy it all the time, but yeah, I've gotten. Part of me says I've gotten lucky on it. Part of me says, you know what, I do understand this stuff, so it's okay that I'm out there, and I do. I'm not. I don't feel like I'm ever over my head out there with what I've done so far. I am no Ben Stowe. My God, no, absolutely not. But I think I know enough to be dangerous for the scale I'm doing it at these shows, and I do enjoy doing it. So thank you for that. Uh, music is an end of the day art form. When it stops being that, it stops being interesting. Yeah, but music at the end of the day is an art form. Commas, context there. Yeah, absolutely. This is art, and this is all very much a matter of opinion. Some people feel very differently about things, but I will say this: if I were 18 years old, I would probably be listening to very different music than I'm listening to now, simply because maybe I wouldn't be exposed to other music, So, you know, I've been around for a while, and I love music. I love new music. I love interesting music as long as it's good. If I don't dismiss all new music. I'll never do that. When I hear a new song that I like, I am into it. My mom's 81, and her favorite band is Maroon 5. I mean, this is how I grew up. When I was a kid, I'm listening to things that maybe a lot of kids my age were listening to. Maybe their parents were listening to things from the 60s or something. My mom was listening to the top 40 music. And my dad, he was listening to country, so we didn't pay much attention to him. Kind of had a tenure that way. But I had a sister who was into like Barry Manilow and Neil Diamond and things. And then I had another sister who was into, more of the avant-garde stuff, like, at the time, like the Cars, Joan Armatrading, Police, that kind of stuff. My big brother, he was full on rock and roll. And so I had a lot of different influences as a kid. I was exposed to a lot of music, and some of it I love, some of it I don't. Like my brother's still listening to the same stuff he was listening to when he was a kid. It's classic rock for him. That's his thing. It's got to rock. Me, I'm all over the place. I like rock. I like, what do you want to call it, yacht rock. I like that. Soft rock tends to bore me, but yacht rock is cool. It's more up tempo. I like pop standards, some of this stuff I can really appreciate. I dig, weird punk stuff, new wave stuff. I dig disco. I dig teleport. I like a lot of things. As long as it. But I'm not like okay. I love house music. You know what? I cherry pick house music just like I cherry pick every other genre. So what I mean by that is just because it's house doesn't mean that I'm going to love it. It's got to be house and good, then I like it. It's the same with any other genre. I will cherry pick from it. I love music from Prince, but not every song Prince has ever done. Not every album Prince has ever done. Absolutely not. I cherry pick that stuff. I'm not a loyal fan that way. I love the good stuff and I dismiss anything else. And what's good is my opinion, what I personally like. That's just me. Um, see, Beyonce's track reminds me more of Madonna's Vogue album than it reminds me of Robin S. Yeah, I don't know. It to me, whenever I hear "Break My Soul," all I hear is Robin S. "Show Me Love," pitched down like -10 or something like that. It just doesn't sound right to me. But yeah, I don't know. The Vogue album, what was that? That was Dick Tracy, wasn't it? That was the Dick Tracy soundtrack with Hanky Panky and stuff on it. She did, if memory serves, she did Like a Prayer, then she did Dick Tracy, the soundtrack, and then she did Immaculate Collection, and that was like Justify My Love and Rescue Me were the two new tracks on there, and then everything else was, I think, Shep Pettibone remixes, and that was cool. I really enjoyed that collection at the time. Really prefer the non-remix versions of those tracks to the Shep Pettibone treatment, but yeah, if memory serves, that's what was happening. Um, Day Night's asking if I've listened to new disco. Yeah, some of it. And is it is it Dom Dalla out of Australia, Pump the Brakes? I really thought that was a fantastic track. And I've heard a lot of new disco, along with a lot of the Purple Disco Machine remixes of things that I think are really good. So yeah, I do enjoy that. I haven't been particularly chasing after it, but when I hear it, I like it. Yeah. And they do, I forget what night it is, but on Studio 54 on Sirius XM, channel 54, they'll have a night where it's a new disco night. And I usually like most of what I'm hearing on there. And once in a while, when I catch it, I will make a note and say, geez, I got to grab this track. This is really good. So, and it's like, I don't know, maybe an hour show. But yeah, I do check it out when I can. Um, you know, DJ Stretch and Tone is saying, I can see the Madonna Vogue comparison, but there's some really cool remixes of Vogue. There are. There are. But let me just say this. Madonna's Vogue was never my jam. It wasn't my jam when it came out, and I'll tell you why. Because I'd heard it done better before. This is exactly what I was talking about. And where I'd heard it done better was Malcolm McLaren's Deep in Vogue, which came out before Vogue came out. And not the album version of that track either. There's a 12-inch version of that track that is absolutely amazing. And since I heard it first, I heard the Malcolm McLaren's Deep in Vogue 12-inch first, and then I heard Madonna's Vogue. Madonna's Vogue was disappointing to me. Now, if I'd never heard Malcolm McLaren Deep in Vogue, I probably would have enjoyed Vogue more. So that's a perfect example, you know. Now that era of Madonna, it's not like she could have done much wrong with me. Uh, Justify My Love is still an amazing track, and if there's so many things going on there, it's ridiculous. It's an Ingrid Chavez poem. It's a Public Enemy drum beat. It's Madonna, and the background guy on there, the guy who put this all together, and the guy doing the backing vocals on that is Lenny Kravitz. Before most anyone knew who Lenny Kravitz was. In fact, that session where they did that track, there was a rumor that everyone denies that Lenny and Madonna had a thing, and that's what broke up Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet. That's why they split because of what happened during that session, which Madonna and Lenny both deny happened at all. I don't know. I'm full of useless trivia like that. So yeah, "Justify My Love" is a fantastic song. Beyonce's track reminds. Okay, let's see what else do we have. Robin S. "Show Me Love" is untouchable. Beyonce is lacking to say the least. I can remember playing Robin S. even during Destiny's Child biggest hits, and Robin S. would always smoke it. Period. Yeah, I mean, great music is great music. I don't like watered down music, and I know I'm repeating myself, so forgive me. But like I said before, I believe I said before, and I had to have said this. I was thinking it. I had to have said it. If you're gonna do something, do it better than it was done the first time. Don't do something that's not as good as the first time it was done. Break my soul again in my brain, in my ear. I'm thinking, I've heard this before. It's Robin S. "Show Me Love," and that was a better song. I can say the same thing about, a lot of remakes of songs where I'm thinking to myself, you know what? It's not as good as the original. What was it? Weezer who did Toto's Africa? Why did they do that? I don't understand. Was this just to cash in? Because Toto clearly did a better version of it. And it's not like Weezer made it their own. They didn't take the song and do something to it that made it unique. No, it was almost like an exact copy of it, as close as they could get to it without the vocals. On the other hand, there are other songs, like I don't know, no doubt, "It's My Life." I think that they did an incredible job with that. It's better than the original. Very unpopular opinion, but I think Hall & Oates' "You Lost That Love and Feeling" is better than the Righteous Brothers version. I know some people will come to my house and beat me up for saying that, but I like it better. There are a lot of songs like that that, there what's that track? "Beggin'," right? Came out last year. I can't remember who the artist was. I know that was originally Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. I know 10 years ago somebody did that track, but the treatment that they gave Beggin last year, whoever that artist was really good. I really liked it. I liked it better than the Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons version. I liked it better than the version 10 years ago. They did it, but they improved it. Oh, geez, I can go on and on with this. What was that crap that Guns N' Roses did with Live and Let Die? Are you kidding me? That's not an improvement. What's the point? Sorry, I'll stop talking now. I'll go back to the comments. Let's see what we have here. Um, let's see what else do we have. The Drake tune sounds exactly like Larry Heard. I don't know. I mean, Drake has never turned me on. I know I felt really bad when I was in Canada. They were so proud of Drake, and I'm thinking, really, this guy? I don't like. I mean, he seems like a nice guy. He seems like a really nice guy. Whenever I've seen an interview with him, it's like, I like him. It's kinda like Dave Grohl in that regard. I think Dave Grohl seems like a really good guy. I'm not attracted to Foo Fighters music or Nirvana music, but I think Dave Grohl's a good guy. It's kinda the same thing with Drake. He seems like a good guy, but I've never been attracted to Drake music. Um, I'm missing something because there are people older than me in Canada who just think he's the best thing in the world. To me, I think it's incredibly mediocre. I don't think it's exciting, but that's my opinion. That's just my opinion. I'll check it out. You know what? I think I do know that track, John. I do know that track. I'll have to go back and listen to them both because I was so uninterested in the Drake song when I put it on. I couldn't even get through the whole thing. So I wasn't even thinking of analyzing it like that. I was just simply thinking, okay, this is not very exciting. This is like house music, uh, you know, with the BPM cut in half. So what? I wasn't even that interested in it to make a comparison or analogy. So I'll have to go back and re-listen to the Drake song. I'm curious. Producers back the day were actual musicians who played in bands and learned how to engage the crowd. Um, hence why everybody is recycling today. No, I mean, it's okay to recycle. I don't mind it if you recycle. So I was having a conversation with my friend Jay, And he was bringing up that point. It was like, yeah, they're just recycling everything now. The Dua Lipa stuff sounds like this, and this sounds like that. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? This has always been done. This is nothing new. It's okay to recycle things. I was talking about one of the greatest songs ever, in my opinion. I mean, I got a list of greatest songs. Songs that don't sound like anything else, songs that are absolutely amazing. I was thinking about, Hold the Line by Toto. What a great song. What a unique song. But you know what that is when you go back and you listen to it? It's heavily influenced by Fats Domino. I found my thrills on Blueberry Hill. It's that riff. It's that boogie woogie piano thing. And so is Aldo Noah's Fantasy. It's the same sort of thing. Where it's like, okay, this is very Fats Domino. It with other things added, of course, it's all influenced by other things. The Beatles were influenced by people. They would do things. They were a cover band. If you didn't see the Beatles thing on Disney Plus, I urge you to watch it. Some people say it's boring. Well, if you're really into music, it is not boring. If you know stuff about the Beatles, it is not boring. It is really good, actually. And they could play any song by any band like at the drop of a hat. They knew all the songs. They could play all the songs that were on the radio, going back to the 50s, contemporary new stuff. They would just do it in rehearsal. They were heavily influenced by a lot of different music. So it's okay to be influenced by things, and it's okay to pay homage to things, and that. So I can't fault somebody for doing that. What I can fault them for is not doing it as good as it was done the first time around. It's okay to recycle as long as whatever you've recycled is better than it was originally. Then it's cool. If you've brought something new and interesting to the table, then it's cool. If you haven't, go away. Go away. I mean, there are other examples. Like Chicago, early Chicago. Terry Kath is one of my favorite guitar players. I love the early Chicago stuff. I even liked the David Foster Chicago stuff until Peter left. And I'll admit it, I don't care. I think Peter Cetera is a pretty cool guy. I think he's misunderstood. But let's go back to the Terry Kath thing. So I remember Climax Blues Band, right? There's a song called Couldn't Get It Right. They're from like the Midlands in the UK. And the singer said that he was doing an impersonation of Terry Kath with his vocals because Terry Kath had a very interesting vocal style. Now, Terry Kath was doing an impersonation of Ray Charles. They were all copying each other and it all evolved and they all made it their own and made it good. Now, I'm not saying Terry Kath or the lead singer from Climax Blues Band is better than Ray Charles. I'm just saying they were influenced by it. They made it their own and it was good. And most people didn't even notice. But that's what's cool about it. It's okay to be influenced. It doesn't necessarily mean you ripped off. It means you were influenced by. But if you are going to go and try to do something, I don't know, make it interesting. More interesting the first time around. If it's detectable, make it more interesting than the first time around. I don't know. I'm not hating on anybody. I mean, I'm not here to hate on new music. That's not why I turn this on. There are new tracks that I love. I've had Dua Lipa's Levitating going through my head for days because I really think that's a good song. It's really good. I really like what the Weeknd's been doing the last few years. I think it's really good. There's other stuff out there that I like. I really like. So I'm not hating on new music. It's not that. But the name of the game today again seems to be conformity. Seems to be like, hey, let's sound like everyone else because okay, if this artist is selling, then let's make something exactly like they're making so we can sell too. I don't hear too many people taking chances. When I do hear people taking chances, that's when I get excited and that's when I pay attention. And if it's not only unique but good, yeah, I'm on board with you. I'll end the live stream now, guys. I just wanted to vent. These are the videos that get the least amount of views. Nobody watches these, but I don't care. Sometimes it's nice just to do videos because you want to do them, not because they're necessarily going to get a lot of views. And I always talk about things that aren't equipment, that are more philosophy or thoughts and music. I love music. If you want to bore a bunch of DJs, talk about music. I'm going to go to DJ Expo next week. I guarantee you that if anyone brings up a conversation about music, it's going to be me. It's not going to be anyone else. They're going to want to talk about the new lights or the new speakers or the new controllers or what they're doing at weddings as far as procedures go and business stuff. Music is the last thing most DJs want to talk about. So, whether anyone's paying attention or not, I like to do these videos. I feel like I'm doing a service by doing them almost, but I enjoy doing them. So, anyway, I really appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate all your likes and your comments and your support. Thank you very, 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 very much. We'll get some more videos out soon. I still need to get a Tuesday DJ gig tip out for this week. I will get it out soon. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, Kyle said I'd like to talk about the new DMX controller. Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Anyway, that's it, guys. Bye, Kyle. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time. Practice and enjoy.